Live from the KFOX 14 studios, this is KFOX 14 News at 9.
We're going to set up a fire watch overnight. There will be one unit monitoring the fire in case any flare-ups or any building collapse.
First on Fox tonight, we begin with breaking news. A massive fire engulfed the historic DeSoto Hotel in downtown El Paso. Now, the flames have been knocked down, but it took dozens of firefighters to bring that multi-story fire under control. This viewer video shows the flames and the smoke billowing out of the top floors and the roof. We have team coverage for you tonight.
We have KFOX 14 News at 9's Giovanni Carrillo and Liana Golden at the scene. Giovanni spoke with people nearby, and Liana brings us the very latest from the fire department. We start our coverage off with Liana.
This is all happening at the DeSoto Hotel right off of Mills and Stanton. Now, the majority of the fire is out after crews battling it for around 3 hours, but there is definitely still a smell around here. So if you're around downtown, you're still going to be able to smell what was left behind by this fire. Now, there's still a lot going on out here, you guys. I want to give you a look at what is going on. Again, you can see crews putting out hot spots. So the bulk of the fire has been put out, has been knocked down. These crews that you're seeing are still putting water out on some hot spots. Now, I want to back up and tell you a little bit about what we know about what has happened here at this fire. There are no injuries reported so far, and there is still no word on what caused this major fire. You can still see a lot of crews out here on Mills and Stanton. Deputy Fire Chief Frank Reyna tells us that the call first came in around 5 o'clock and that there were 24 units on scene. You can see still a handful of units left here, not as many that were here before. The units that first arrived, they saw heavy smoke. They went in on the first floor of the DeSoto Hotel right here that you see. They went up to the second, and they say nobody was inside the building at the time. For the buildings next door, they're supposed to be okay. There's a bar, there's a restaurant, and they will be inspected by the health department before they can reopen. But right now, Reyna says that the fourth floor of this building, it's completely gone. The third and second floor collapsed inside, sending more smoke going through the roof of the building. And he says for a building as old and historical as this one, it is truly a shame.
You know, it always hurts to see any historical building lose or become condemned to fire. And plus, specifically, I know what you're talking about on the history on that. And unfortunately, it does happen.
Okay, you're taking a live look out here again at the DeSoto Hotel off of Mills and Stanton. You can see some crews still putting out hotspots. You can hear them talking through some radio chatter up there. You can see crews still out there. And if we take a look out at the grander span of the building here, you can see still some units out here on Mills and Stanton. Fire department tells us there will be fire watch overnight. Crews are expected to clear probably within the hour. That's what they told us. Actually closer to 8 o'clock, so still out here. We'll be expecting to clear soon. And again, the bars and restaurants next door to the DeSoto Hotel are expected to be okay. They will get inspected by the health department tomorrow. But for now, this is a developing story. You'll see us again throughout this newscast, and be sure to check our website and social media for more information. For now, reporting live in downtown El Paso, I'm Liana Golden, KFOX 14 News at 9.
All right, Liana, thank you. I'm joined now by Chief Meteorologist Sandra Diaz. Sandra, we have a precarious situation when it comes to this building. It's been doused in thousands of gallons of water. Of course, that water will freeze tonight. When a building has been damaged extensively, sometimes freezing water makes that damage worse. So what kind of temperatures are we going to be seeing tonight, Sandra?
Robert, just as you mentioned, we're in for a very similar night to what we had last night, well below freezing. So yes, we will see some of that water freezing inside that building. Let's take a look outside right now, and you'll notice we've got temperatures already in the mid-30s on the west side, 27 up on the mountain area. We have those light winds, and that is also going to play a role in those temperatures. 25 right now in Van Horn. So it is going to be a cold night here for them firefighters as well.
As we've seen, this was a dramatic fire right in the heart of downtown El Paso, and that had a lot of people talking. KFOX 14 News at 9's Giovanni Carrillo live at the scene tonight with what witnesses say they saw tonight. Giovanni.
Right, well, I was able to speak with Paula Overstreet. She's one of the many people who give ghost tours at the building right there that just caught on fire. And she's been giving tours since 2017. She says that when she found out, she wanted to cry and it felt like somebody punched her in the stomach. And when I was speaking with Overstreet, it was very evident she had a great attachment to the building. Overstreet was driving from Chaparral to come visit the building when she heard about the fire. Overstreet tells me the city lost a piece of history today. She says she's always been fascinated with paranormal activity, which the building has been known for. And there was an opportunity to join the ghost tours. She jumped right in and has been doing it ever since 2017. And I also asked her about what will happen to the tours. And she told me that it's up in the air right now, but she's hopeful that they'll continue on. But she says that it's likely they won't continue on in that building. For now, reporting from downtown, Giovanni Carrillo, KFOX 14 News at 9.
Giovanni, thank you. Well, the fire at the DeSoto comes just weeks after the city agreed to invest money into renovations of the building. City leaders approved a tax increase in the immediate area surrounding the hotel on January 4th. The increase would have generated $58,000 to contribute to the project. A developer had pledged to invest $1.2 million. We're working to find out how those plans may be changing now because of the fire. And we've received a lot of viewer videos and photos this evening. This footage shows some of the flames that were shooting out of the building earlier. They're almost hard to see because of that smoke. This viewer appears to be in a building that was close to the scene.
These photos were sent to us by Julio Norman. They show a view of the fire if you were looking at downtown from the UTEP area. Most of what you see there, those thick plumes of smoke, that smoke could be seen for miles. And check out another viewer photo. It offers another perspective here of all that smoke that was generated. Again, several floors of the building were on fire and it burned for more than 2 hours. Very dramatic images out of downtown tonight.
That's right, and here are more photos that give you a little more perspective on just how big this fire was. It was massive, and you got to remember, breathing in that smoke can make your eyes sting, or you can wheeze, give you trouble breathing, among other things as well.
So the DeSoto Hotel has a lot of history. According to local historian Max Grossman, it was originally called the Great Northern Hotel. It first opened back in December of 1905. And in 2017, an El Paso County architectural survey determined that it would be eligible for the National Register of Historic Places. So once again, just to recap what we've learned tonight, there were no injuries. So that is the very good news, is that there were no injuries and that for the most part, that building had been vacant for a long time but was undergoing renovations. Damage was contained to the DeSoto Hotel. So the other neighboring businesses, according to El Paso Fire, were not impacted. There is an alley between the DeSoto Hotel and the Indigo, which is right behind it, and that helped firefighters. Also, there is the Reagan. It's a bar, nightclub, restaurant right next door that also appears to have been spared. But this was a multi-floor fire. Floors collapsed, and that is what El Paso Fire is telling us. Again, the good news, no loss of life, no injuries reported so far tonight. And if you see breaking news happening in your area and we want you to share your photos and your videos with us, all you have to do is go to kfoxtv.com/chime in. We'll share those images in our newscast, on our websites and social media accounts.
Before we go to break, we leave you with this live picture from downtown El Paso. If you're just joining us, the DeSoto Hotel went up in flames. No injuries were reported and there was no damage to neighboring businesses.
And for those of you watching us on Facebook, when we come back, we'll talk to the Downtown Management District about what this means for the future of that part of downtown. The rest of our coverage continues on air. All right, we continue now with our coverage of the fire in downtown El Paso at the DeSoto Hotel. I am joined now in studio by Joe Gudenrath. He is with the Downtown Management District. Joe, first of all, thanks for coming down and talking to us about the impact that a fire like this could have on the overall vision for downtown. Thank you for coming in.
Well, thanks for having me. When it comes to downtown, you hate to see any type of fire, especially when you have dense buildings very close to each other. So I think I want to stay optimistic that the fire will be contained to this location and not impact some of the other properties around it that have seen significant investment over the past few years.
That's right, absolutely. The good news is, as far as we know, right now, at least that's what El Paso Fire is saying, is that the fire was contained to the DeSoto. It did not affect its neighbor, which is the Reagan, a brand new bar, restaurant, and nightclub that's down there, and of course the other businesses that you mentioned, the Indigo behind it. But the good news, those do not appear to be impacted. However, there was still a vision for the future of this building. Joe, talk to us a little bit about some of the things that had happened recently in terms of what developers were hoping for.
Yeah, well, it was last year in the spring that the property owner had come to the Downtown Management District, and we worked with them on a number of grants to help him facilitate refurbishment of the exterior of the building. And then most recently, last December, early part of this year, he received an incentive agreement from the city of El Paso to help with some of the improvements on the interior. From what I'm aware of, in recent history, he had vacated the building, removed any of the people that were living or residing in there at that time. And so it was at this time vacant and waiting for the renovation process to begin.
So there was an idea to at least reclaim that building and its history. Do you know much about the history behind that DeSoto Hotel? I know it's been various things over the years.
Yeah, just the recent history was kind of a low-cost hotel for day, week, month stays. And the building owner was looking at kind of upgrading the type of hotel that it was, bringing in a potential restaurant or retail commercial tenants on the main floor.
And we began this conversation by saying that, listen, you hate to see this kind of thing happen in downtown, where there is emphasis right now on redeveloping the area and investment. So here you had someone who was going to invest in that building, and now we're talking about potentially it being a complete loss. That has to be heartbreaking. From again, wonderful news so far that there has been no loss of life, but I think economically that's got to be heartbreaking.
Well, I think when you talk about restoring and renovating the downtown, it's not going to all happen overnight. So when you have properties that are yet to be renovated, we have to be doing our due diligence to make sure that they are safe and secure, so that regardless of the timeline of when they're going to be redeveloped, they can't be a negative on the neighboring properties where we are seeing redevelopment.
Well, I mean, that's a great point, right? You're talking about making sure that, if something like this were to happen, not to essentially affect or disrupt the other investment that's happened in the area.
Exactly. Whether the building is not up to code or is up to code, I don't know about the specifics with this case, whether it's secured or unsecured. Anytime a building's vacant, you want to make sure it's secured, but all buildings, regardless of the use, we need to make sure that they're up to code. And so that those buildings do stay intact and things like this don't happen. That only limit what can happen to that building, but you'd hate to see any other buildings be impacted by fires like this. Yeah,
to be sure. Now, listen, there is something that a lot of people treasure about that particular building. Along the side of that building, facing the street, is a giant mural. I think it's like a 30 by 60 foot mural of El Paso's greatest boxers. It was painted by James Mendoza. There has been efforts to preserve that mural to make sure it doesn't go away. I'm sure, like from an economic development standpoint, it was important to try to keep as much of that particular part of the building intact. Joe, I have to think so.
Actually, it's the opposite. The building owner was intent on painting over that mural and creating a new mural in its place as part of the redevelopment of that building.
Got it. So that was already, I know that there had been some efforts to preserve that original one, but that had already been decided by the building owner.
As far as I'm aware of, yes.
Well, it might be a moot point at this point, right, in terms of what's going to happen, as it does appear to be a complete loss. At least that's what it's looking like, but no official word yet. But Joe, listen, any other thoughts on this building, on this fire? We haven't seen a fire of this scale in downtown in a long time. And again, anytime you see destruction on this level, it's heartbreaking. But any final thoughts from you?
Yeah, just thankful nobody was in the building. There's no loss of life. Thanks to the first responders for getting there. I saw them arriving on the scene when I was downtown earlier tonight. and and thankful it didn't spread to other buildings. But I think we have to take this seriously, whether it's an old building, whether it's in use or vacated, that they're in conditions that are operable for the safety of their tenants, the people who live, the people that work there, and those neighboring properties.
Yeah, absolutely. Joe Gudenrath with the Downtown Management District, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Another very dangerous night ahead. How soon before we get out of this cold snap is next on KFOX 14 News at 9, coverage you can count on.
What's up? Yeah. And before we go to break, we leave you with this live picture from downtown El Paso. If you're just joining us, the DeSoto Hotel went up in flames. No injuries were reported, and there was no damage to neighboring businesses. Our coverage continues on KFOX 14 News at 9, coverage you can count on. Well, a busy day for the El Paso Fire Department, It ends with crews battling a fire at the DeSoto Hotel in downtown El Paso.
We have team coverage for you tonight. Reporters Liana Golden and Giovanni Carrillo are live in downtown. We begin now with Liana.
Right, guys, this is all happening at the DeSoto Hotel right off of Mills and Stanton. There's been some development since we saw you last. I want to give you a live look. Crews over here are they're still out here. They are no longer putting out any hot spots or anything like that. They just kind of seem to be wrapping up their hoses and things like that. The last we spoke to fire was around an hour ago. They said they'd be wrapping up by now, but they are still here. So it looks like they are still wrapping up different things over here. We want to tell you there are no injuries reported here at this fire. Nobody was told to be hurt here at the DeSoto Hotel. It was a condition 4. There were about 24 units here on scene, as you can see, not as many right now. The fire is completely out. They were able to knock down the bulk of it. They will have a night watchman here overnight, though, to keep an eye on it to make sure there are no flare-ups, there are no hot spots. In the case that they are, then they can call in more crews. There you can see them kind of dragging that big, heavy hose over there. They've been out here since around 5 o'clock. That's when the call first came in, and they say that the 4th floor of the DeSoto is just completely gone. We'll try to get you a look up there. Yeah, it's completely gone, and the 2nd and 3rd floors inside collapsed. So the fire chief tells us, the fire deputy, tells me that they can't go inside just yet, so much for inspection, because those floors collapsed inside. In terms of the buildings next door, there's a bar, there's a restaurant. We're told those are expected to be okay and that there was surprisingly no damage. However, they cannot open until the health department does an inspection. That won't take place until tomorrow morning. So right now, out here on Mills and Stanton, no injuries reported. Condition 4 fire, mostly knocked down, though. The flames, oh man, if you saw them, they were definitely huge. The smell is still going on out here in downtown. If you're in the area, if you're anywhere near, you'll definitely still be able to smell it. But good news, nobody hurt. It is knocked down, and there will be crews here overnight, but they are still taking care of what that major fire you saw out here tonight, guys, in downtown. For now, I'm reporting live in downtown El Paso, and be sure to keep you updated both on air and online. Liana Golden, KFOX 14 News at 9.
Right, well, I was able to speak with Paula Overstreet. She's just one of the many people that give ghost tours at the DeSoto Hotel, and she's been giving tours ever since 2017. And she says that when she found out about the fire, she wanted to cry, and it felt like somebody punched her in her stomach. She says she has so many great memories inside that building. And when I was speaking with Overstreet, it was very evident she had a great attachment to the building. Overstreet was driving from Chaparral to come visit the building when she heard about the fire. Overstreet tells me the city lost a piece of its history today, and she says she's always been fascinated with paranormal activity, which the building has been known for. And when there was an opportunity to join the ghost tours, she jumped right in and has been doing it ever since 2017. And I also asked her about what will happen to the ghost tours, and she says that is still up in the air. And while she's hopeful they'll continue the ghost tours, she says it's not likely it'll happen at the hotel. For now, reporting from downtown El Paso, Giovanni Carrillo, KFOX 14 News at 9.
All right, Giovanni, thank you. Now, as we've talked about tonight, the DeSoto Hotel has historical significance, right? And it's also been incredibly well known in the paranormal community. as we just heard from Giovanni there, a lot of people thought that hotel was haunted. And so it's been okay, so we were about to talk to someone who is part of a YouTube channel called Paranormal Files. Do we not have that sound? Okay, we do not have that sound. We will try to bring it to you a little bit later on in this newscast. If you see breaking news happening where you are, we want to see it, and you can share it with us. Do it safely, please. You can send us your videos and photos. All you have to do is go to kfoxtv.com/chime in. We'll share those images in our newscasts and on our websites and social media accounts.
Well, this is a live look at the scene of a massive fire at the DeSoto Hotel in downtown El Paso. Firefighters have been out here fighting this fire since about 5 o'clock this evening. You can see we aren't seeing the smoke and the flames that we were seeing earlier, but crews are still out there on a Friday night, which typically would be seeing lots of people out there because of the neighboring businesses and bars right now.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, that's a busy strip of downtown El Paso that's essentially roped off right now as a result of that huge fire. The bad news is that the damage sounds extensive. Firefighters said that floors inside collapsed on one another. At least the second and third floor collapsed. We still don't know a cause of the fire. That remains under investigation. But the good news is that there were no injuries reported, no loss of life. That building was, for the most part, vacant. It was undergoing renovations. It's a historical building. It's been around since the 1900s, but it did suffer extensive damage as a result of this fire earlier today, which could be seen for miles as it engulfed much of downtown.
And it continues to. Just take a look at the street. You can see, as Robert mentioned, it is roped off. So a lot of those businesses and neighboring establishments have been evacuated. Something to keep in mind if you are planning to go out to downtown El Paso this evening, probably avoid that area. It is very busy right now with fire crews still at the scene. We do have our crews there as well. So if you want to continue getting updates of this situation, you can always look for that on our website, kfoxtv.com.